Hi, and welcome to the Web Design Survival Guide. Professor O'Daly here. And in this video, I'm going to introduce Adobe Dreamweaver CC 2019 as a code editor for building web pages and websites. We'll be looking at the Dreamweaver interface in this video. And you can see on my desktop, I've got the sample files associated with this video. And if you want to follow along, head on over to the webdesignsurvivalguide.com, and under part 2, Adobe Dreamweaver, there's a Dreamweaver overview is the first section, and click on that. And you can see here are sample files. There's also a text link to them, and you'll just click on that and they'll download. I've already downloaded mine, and so I'll go to my downloads folder and open that up, and you'll unzip them, and then here's the files that you need to follow along, and I'll just replace the ones on my desktop, and then we'll go down to the dock and we'll launch Adobe Dreamweaver CC 2019. And if the first time you're launching Dreamweaver or you didn't leave any documents open when you quit the last time, it'll typically open on this landing page, landing screen. And you can see there's some, under this Home tab, it's listing some recent files that I've been working with on these tutorials. Yours may not have any, but eventually it will. And you have a Learn tab. This is a screen that links to the official Adobe Dreamweaver website tutorials. Many of them are very good, and I recommend you study them. There's a Quick Start tab, and this lets you quickly create new documents, such as HTML files and CSS documents and JavaScript, PHP, as well as a bunch of others. And it also has a tab for starter templates, and these are predefined web page layouts, so you can jump right in. You don't have to code everything from scratch. So you might want to explore those in some detail. And obviously there's a Create New button, which is similar to the Quick Start, where you can just launch a blank document of any of the coding technologies. And there's an Open tab as well, an Open button as well. So on the left-hand side, we have the toolbar. These are tools that will help you with your coding activities. You can customize this toolbar. Right now, I think I have most of them open, but if you wanted them all open, you could do that. You can see they've appeared now. And at the top is the desktop application menus, which we'll get into in more detail as we go through this series. And on the right-hand side of the screen is a series of panels, one over the other. Right now we're on the Files panel. The Files panel is our view to the files or the directory of files that we're working on with a given Dreamweaver project. And if I hit this little flippy arrow and open up that folder, you can see that in this instance, we're actually looking at the files that we downloaded that are associated with this video. And the index file here, by the way, we always name the first page in a website index.html, because that's what the internet browser looks for first in a collection of web pages. And if I launch that, you can see up comes a preview pane of the web page design and a pane for the code that is showing the HTML associated with the web page. And on the right-hand side panel group, you can see that now the DOM, which stands for Document Object Model, is displaying this series of icons with the element names associated with the HTML. So the most outer element or container in HTML is the HTML tag. That tells the web browser, hey, this is an HTML page. And you can see when I click on that, it highlights almost all the code other than the document declaration, between the beginning HTML tag and the ending HTML tag. And the difference is that the beginning tag has the name of the element surrounded by the arrow brackets, And the end tag is the same, except the name is preceded with a /, and that's how the internet browser knows that's the end of that element. Inside the HTML are other elements. So in the next one in line is the head tag, and you can see it's structured the same way. Inside the head tag, there's other elements nested within. And likewise, the body tag. And if I scroll down a little bit, you can see that there are additional HTML elements inside the body. The body tag contains the code that the internet browser displays. It does not display the head tag. The information inside the head tag is used for other purposes like linking to fonts and linking to style sheets and metadata. And inside this head tag, you can see that there's this link href equals styles.css in quotations. And that is the file that is in our downloaded files called styles.css. So the index file is linking to the styles.css, which is the style sheet. The CSS is what gives the web page its appearance, whereas the HTML, the index, is what gives the web page its structure. So you can see up here on the left, this is the actual index page tab open in Dreamweaver. And when we're on source code, we're looking at the HTML code. And next to it, you can see, because we have this link in the head tag, it's displaying styles.css as a related file. And more sophisticated websites might have many, many related files being linked to. So if I click on that, styles.css, this is the code that is styling the appearance of the HTML, and that's the role of CSS. And it has a different syntax, but you can see here header has, after the word header, we have a curly bracket, and then we have some properties and values, and then it ends with another closing curly bracket. That style, or what we would call a CSS rule, it directly corresponds to the header in the HTML. So if I go back over here and click on header, and in the preview window you can see the header element being highlighted. The header rule in the CSS is what's giving that HTML element its appearance. And if I was to, just to show you, if I was to go up here and take out the link to the CSS, if I was to remove this link, this is what the HTML looks like with no styling. It has all the text, and it has the links in it, and it has the hyperlinks and navigation, and it has this image and some icons, but it's not very pretty. Because HTML is just the building blocks, it's just the structure of how the page lays out from top to bottom. If I go back down here and undo that, now you see this is where the true magic is in the CSS. That's what styles the appearance of the HTML. So there's a lot of ways to look at these different panes, and you can organize your screen in a variety of ways. Right up top here at the middle of the screen, I can just hit code and just look at the code view. So if I need to see more code, I can click on split and go back to this kind of split screen view. I can even go up to the view menu and I can change the way the screen splits. So I can say split vertically. And I can even say I would like the live view on the, I'd like the live view on the right. I'm just gonna undo that now so I can change that. And I'll put it back to split horizontally. I like working like this when I'm teaching. So you have a lot of flexibility in how the panes of the interface interact with one another. If you have really long file names or a lot of subdirectories, you can make, in the Files panel, you can get more real estate there, or you can adjust it to have more real estate in the code and preview panes. And you can adjust the space between the preview pane and the code view. And it also gives you the opportunity to create custom workspaces. They give you a standard to start with and developer. And so developer puts the panels on the left-hand side near the tools and one large code view. We'll go back to the standard. And looking back in here in the DOM, if I close up that head, we have the body tag. The body tag is the tag that encapsulates all the content and elements that will be displayed in the HTML browser. And inside of that, we have a header. And you notice when I click on the header, the preview highlights the area where the header resides. And of course, the code gets highlighted as well. And inside the header, we have a class tag. It's the A tag, anchor tag, with a special class name of site logo. And inside of that, we have this IMG, which stands for image, and it has a class name of logo. And you can see that it has an SRC, which is source. That's where it's calling the image from. And that image lives inside the images folder, and it's named logo white. So if we go up to our files panel here, you can see I got an images folder and logo white, and that's what the code is calling for. So if we look a little further here, you can see alongside that A tag for the site logo, we also have a nav tag, and the nav has its own class, special class name as well, called site nav. And inside there we have a UL tag, and that is a unordered list. And unordered lists are used for lots of things, but they're commonly used to make navigation menus. And inside that unordered list, we have list items. So you can see how Dreamweaver is highlighting these elements as I click on them in the DOM. So very useful. And if I click on the A tag inside the LI tag, that is actually the link to the index page. It's the home link, so it's going back to this page. And if I click on the next link, it's a link to an anchor in the page, and that is this section here, the About section. So the About section has a section with the ID of About, and essentially what that means is, since I gave it an ID of About, I can use this hashtag before the link, the section name About, and that link will take me to that section of the page. And then I also have a link inside an LI tag to gallery.html. And that's this page up here. This is an additional HTML page that we'll look at later. And then finally, I have a link to the nasa.gov website, which is where all the content for this sample web page comes from. And a little bit further down here, you can see if I click on main, this is the main content of the page beneath the navigation and the header. The main tag is where most of the content of the page will typically reside. Again, it's just a predefined name of an HTML element. And then you can also see that we have a comment here that tells us where we are. And then beneath the main, or inside the main, we have a section with the class name of hero. We have a section with the class name of intro, and we have a section with the ID of About. And that's where you could link to from this anchor link up here, this link right here, will link down to the section about. And then of course at the bottom we have the site footer. And inside the footer we've got a div class. A div is just another HTML element. This is a division of space. So we can make our own names too. We don't have to just use main and section and article. We can have our own names for HTML elements and organize it any way we want. It just makes sense to use names like footer and section and article and main and header so that there's some sort of a common vocabulary going on. So hopefully this gives you a basic overview of how the interface works in Dreamweaver and how you'll interact with the code. In future videos, you'll actually be crafting this code. And thanks for stopping in, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.